Greetings. Now today I'm here to tell you another Dave the Cat story, and this is one I created the other night when I was falling asleep and I was thinking about Dave the Cat, and this tale came to my mind. Now this tale is going to be entertaining, it's going to be educational, and it's about Dave the Cat and the hunt for the missing longhouse in the forest. Enjoy. Now many years ago, in the land of the Vikings and the land of the Saxons, who came of course before the Vikings, there lived a cat. He was a magical cat, for he had the ability to talk, and he wore clothes. He used swords and lances and axes, and he was a great fighter. He was indeed a magical, mysterious cat, and his name was Dave. If you're new to the channel and you've never heard of Dave before, and Dave is such a fascinating character. So once upon a time, in those good old days, he was sitting around a tree on a stump, and he was sat with an old friend of his called Sigmund the Squirrel. Now Sigmund the Squirrel was a very old squirrel with a long grey beard, and Dave and the squirrel were sitting down talking. And the squirrel told him a very strange thing. He said, "Whoa," he said, "the other day I was out. I was looking for some nuts because it's getting towards the end of the year where it's autumn and I got to get my nuts stored away. You know, hazelnuts and all manner of nuts, including walnuts perhaps. Did the Vikings have walnuts? I don't know. But there was old, the squirrel. His name was Sigmund. And Dave used to call him Silly Squirrel because he was a bit daft, but that was his little nickname he called him. And he said, "Oh, I was looking around the other day and I came to an old tree I never found and seen before in the forest. And there was an opening in the tree. And he says in that tree was a load of nuts being put away. But in the pile of nuts was an old chest. But no matter how many times I tried it with my little paws to open the chest, I couldn't do so. I couldn't get it open." Well, Dave at this point was very curious. He said, "Oh, whoa. I wonder what's in that chest. It could be treasure. Let's go and find it." So the old squirrel, Sigmund, and Dave the cat, the Viking cat, went to find this tree. And after a while, after looking in lots of trees, because the squirrel couldn't quite remember where it was, so they went around and looked in every tree, they found the tree with a hole. And quite luckily enough, it was big enough for Dave to climb in. So Dave the cat climbed in the tree and found the chest, and also brought more nuts out for the squirrel, and he was very happy. He went away straight off and buried them in the ground. If they don't find them, there'll be next year's hazel trees popping up, little saplings of hazel. And so Dave got the chest, and the squirrel helped to get it out of the tree, and Dave got his favourite axe and gave it a good old whack and opened up the chest because it had a little lock on it. But lo and behold, there was no treasure. But there was an old piece of manuscript written on some goat skin with some runic inscriptions. And quite luckily enough, Dave had the ability to read. Now, a lot of people in those times, in the times of the Saxons and the Vikings, could not read. Only a small percentage of people could read. In fact, some of the most famous kings from that era could not read at all. But Dave, he could read the runes. And it told a tale of a mysterious, long and lost longhouse in the forest up north to where they were staying and looking for this chest. And it said that, and it warned people, said, "Whoever goes to this longhouse, you must be warned, for there are undead things, but there is also treasure and the magical golden nut of time." Well, at this point, the squirrel became very excited. "Ooh, a golden nut! Ooh, I've never had a golden nut before," said the squirrel. And Dave said, "Calm down, mate, calm down. We've got to go and get our equipment, get our lances, get our shields, and we'll go on our journey." So they got a shield. Ouch, that didn't land on my foot. And they went off to find the long-lost longhouse. So first of all, they came to an old path. overgrown, but you could still see where people in the past have trod and walked. And they said, this is the path. I've never been down here before. I've seen it in the past when I walked past it, and I've always wondered where it went. And so Dave and the good old squirrel, Sigmund, went along this path. And it came to a stream with an old stone bridge. A very ancient bridge that has been there a long time. And Dave said, well, we've got to be careful here, my squirrel friend, because we both know what lives under bridges. Do you know? Well, leave me a comment if you do. For indeed, the bridge was a home of a big old troll. And just as they was tiptoeing, tiptoe, tippity-top, tippity-tat across the bridge, the troll appeared and jumped on top of the bridge. Why, who's that? Walking across my bridge. And Dave said, well, it's me, Dave, the Viking cat. And at this point, the troll looked horrified and scared. He said, I've heard of you. What are you doing on my bridge? He was very nervous because he knew of Dave's reputation as a great fighter and did not want to fight him and did not want to die, because normally it never works out for trolls in the stories. And Dave explained, well, he said, we're on a treasure hunt to go and find the longhouse. Well, Dave explained to the troll, well, we're on a journey, a magical mystery journey to go and find the lost longhouse in the forest. Ah, I've heard of that, said the troll. Oh, you want to be very careful. And many years ago, when I had some treasure, it was taken to that place, and I've never seen it before. I would like to accompany you on this journey. Well, Dave the cat and the squirrel both stroked their chins, thinking, oh, should we have this troll on the journey? It is not often they go travelling with a troll. And luckily this was one of the trolls that could travel in daytime and would not turn to stone. But he was also a shape changer, one of those trolls. I'd love to be a shape changer. I'd change into an eagle and fly away. So Dave and the old squirrel, Sigmund, said, all right, you can come along then on the journey, because we never know what we're going to encounter, and having a big troll, although you're quite ugly, would be quite a good idea. So the three of them set off on the journey. And of course, don't forget, folks, how things in folk tales and in life always happen in threes. It is a magical number. And so the troll, Dave the Viking cat, with his magic axe and magic langsacks and a shield on his back, went on their way. And the troll had a big wooden club, because he loved his club. I love my club, said the troll. All right, Dave said, he keeps saying that every 5 minutes when we're marching and walking. I've heard it 30 times a day. I don't need to hear it again. And the troll said, all right. I love my tunic and my pants. Kept on going on about the clothes. He was wearing clothes. Not often trolls wear clothes, but he had some clothes. And said, I want to find my treasure. And Dave said, I want to go and find this longhouse, because who knows what we're going to find. And he recalled a story many years ago he was told, and he said, it just comes back to my mind that many years ago I met a wizard. He told me about this longhouse, and he says there's magical treasures and weapons and the magical golden nut, which made the squirrel very excited. Oh, I can't wait to get this golden nut. I said, don't you go around eating your nut when you get it, said Dave. You want to treasure that golden nut, because it's treasure and not something to be eaten. But of course, the squirrel being a squirrel, he just wanted to fill his belly up. So the three of them, Dave the cat, the squirrel with the long beard, and the troll, went on their way. And they kept on going along this path, and the path got more wild and more overgrown. to the point where they had to take turns to chop a way through the brambles and all the bushes and the wild plants that I've got and grown on the path. And they came to a hill where they camped for a night. First of all, the troll went out and got some big pieces of wood, and Dave got out his little pouch and got his little flints and steel and made a fire. And then the cauldron, you know, they had, because Dave always got a little cauldron in his little pouch. They cooked some nice food, and all three of them had full bellies. And Dave even had some mead on him in a leather flask. And the next day, the dawn came up, and they didn't have a lie-in like we do today. They got up straight away and set off on the journey down into the valley. Now Dave, being a clever cat, saying, I bet you this longhouse is in this valley, and I bet you it's near a river or a stream. He had the ability of foresight, because like I say, he was magical and he was amazing, was Dave. Oh, a brave, brave cat. And so he carried on down the hill, a long hill. It took all morning. And then, in the distance, they thought they could see the longhouse. It was misty, and they could just make out a shape of a building. Dave said, that's it. That's the longhouse. Now gather your weapons ready, guys. And the little squirrel had a little longsax and a little tiny shield. And Dave got his shield out just in case. And the troll said, I've got my club. Enough about your club, said Dave, but just get it ready just in case. Because you never know, there might be bandits living there or wild creatures. And by the time they got there, it was getting dark. The sun was setting. They thought, well, we need to get in that longhouse and make a fire soon so we're safe. But something strange happened. The closer they got, they heard some strange noises. It was growling, growling noises. And suddenly, when they came to the longhouse, they saw the undead, or the Draugr, walking around the house. Dave looked down at the ground, and one was digging himself out of the ground, out of a grave. Well, Dave quickly got his axe and smacked it into the undead warrior's head and killed him instantly. For Dave's weapons were magical and could kill the undead, or the Aptaganga, the above walkers, as the Vikings called them. And suddenly, because they made a noise, all the undead warriors turned to them and started to slowly march. Brains, we want brains, one of them said. Why are undead obsessed with brains and eating people's brains? I don't know. And so Dave, Sigmund and the troll, who remains nameless in this story, had to fight the Draugr, the undead. And for a good hour there was fighting away, slashing and stabbing and whacking these undead, chopping off their heads. And eventually all of the undead were dead again. Would they rise up in the future? I don't know. But it is always believed that if you kill a undead warrior with a magical weapon or chop off his head, he will not return back alive as a above walker, undead person walking upon the ground. In fact, one of them even was carrying a coffin, his own coffin, and was trying to attack Dave and Sigmund and the troll with the coffin. Well, Dave soon put that troll to that undead warrior to best, whilst the troll attacked him with his club and smashed his brains to bits, what was left of it. They all turned to dust, and Dave and the squirrel and the troll managed to get to the door of the longhouse. But there was a chain on the door, and it was locked with an old lock. Yes, in those days, the Vikings and the Saxons had locks. A magical invention. It was a barrel lock. And Dave, being clever, he had a little kit in his bag. He can get in with some keys and open the door. And this is what they did. They opened the door, and they came inside this mighty hall of a longhouse. It had benches all the way down the side, mead benches for drinking mead, and in the middle was an open fire which had not been lit for a long time, for many years. And at the back of the long hall was a raised platform with a chair fit for a king. Well, the first thing Dave did, and the troll and the squirrel, was to make a fire, because if you had fire, you had protection and you'd be safe. And so Dave the cat eventually found the treasure. He found magical swords. The troll got his old hoard back of gold. And the squirrel, well, he got his magical golden nut. And everyone was happy. They even found a bowl of mead, which was very ripe by now and tasty. And they drank that and feasted in the longhouse. The end of the tale. If you've enjoyed this story, if you like the channel, please consider subscribing. And hey, we'll see you in the next video. And who knows what Dave will get up to next in the stories. Hey!